Thanks, everybody. Sorry we get the after lunch spot, so I hope you haven't come in here to have a little lull. There's a really exciting story to tell you all about the Design to Deliver project, and I'd like to welcome up to the stage Anastasia, and Nick, and Tim, and Harry. Okay, so before I introduce everybody, I'm just going to give you a little bit of a brief overview of what the Design to Deliver programme has been. So the aim of the programme has been to harness the potential of the UK design sector to support small, medium enterprises to accelerate innovation in response to a grand challenge. And this year we've been looking at regenerating nature. Nature has been chosen because, sadly, the UK, one of the most nature-depleted countries in the world, and so we set our focus on that. Also, it really aligns with our 3 Catapult's different flavors of what we can offer on this problem. So our challenge has been to unlock human behavior to regenerate nature through leveraging accessible, accurate, and actionable information. We already have so much data, but the challenge is to present it in a way that enables peoples, organizations, communities to actually act upon it. And so the programme set out to support the 12 SMEs in all in developing products and services that respond to that challenge and reconnect people with nature and support data-driven decision-making. So the structure has been, we were 3 Catapult centres. We've got Connected Places Catapult, Digital Catapult, and Satellite Applications Catapult, all working really closely together. And actually, we designed the programme from the start, so we were really involved, taking a design-led approach from the very start. And we developed it in collaboration with Innovate UK, where Harry's from. And the programme features 3 location partners. So we had Sussex Bay, We Can Make, and Shift. We have Nick here. And 6 design consultancies. Sorry, I'm not going to name check you all, but many of you are in the room. And then also 12 SMEs. Again, many in the room. And please link up and chat to them afterwards. So the title of this talk, Putting Communities at the Heart of Innovation. What do we mean by communities? And predominantly, the communities we've been engaging with are communities of interest, shared purpose, but actually they're also situated in a place. And these places are really important because the focus has been on restoring particular ecosystems, activating a particular community. So they're really integrated. And that part of the project's been really powerful. In fact, I think we underestimated how important those location partners were in helping us, directing us, shining a light on what the key problems are, and allowing the SMEs to really challenge their assumptions and make sure that they are targeting the problem that really benefits from being solved. So yeah, the SMEs have been working with these communities, learning from the challenges and ways of working, and ensuring that their solutions have been developed to fit their needs. But I will also say that while those communities were brought to the programme has allowed us to really think about community and generate communities through the ways of working. So the design methodologies that we've been using, really collaborative. And I would say that actually a lovely output is that I think the consortium, the different networks and different people involved have sort of become a community that I think we will go forward to lean on more and more. So I'm not going to say more now on that. I'm going to invite each of the panel to introduce themselves. Let me start with Harry.
Hello, I'm Harry Carr. I'm Head of Design at Innovate UK Business Connect.
Cool, nice to see everyone here. I'm Nick Turner, the Data and Digital Lead for Shift, which is an innovation program running out of the Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park in East London.
Hello, I'm Tim. I'm one of the co-founders of Openstead, one of the SMEs on the program.
Hello, I'm Anastasia, and I'm from Arup. I'm a senior strategic designer, and Arup's role was to be a design partner, and we'll tell you more about this in a minute. But great to be here, thank you.
Great, thank you so much, everybody. So let's start with Harry. Harry, you were there at the start of the whole idea. Where did the idea come from, and why? What was the motivation behind it? What did Innovate UK want from it?
Thanks, Catherine. Yeah, so I suppose the clue's in the name. Innovate UK has long supported design during the early stages of innovation. So SMEs and startups accessing design expertise at the start of their innovation journey and try and embed that capability. What we wanted to do was to bring that a bit further downstream and continue to evidence the value of design, getting their hands stuck in, going through prototyping, getting to something at the later stage. So that was supporting businesses accessing design. There was another point about foregrounding the value of connecting with that system for designers, for design agencies. The UK has an amazing design sector. The innovation community, if you like, is crying out for design support. We wanted to build a really visible bridge between those two communities, because often they can be seen as, the design sector can be seen as very difficult to access, high cost of entry. We wanted to lower those perceived barriers for businesses. We wanted that to be an integrated support as well. So we wanted to make sure that that wasn't just flash in the pan support, bring in a contractor. We wanted it to be a really, really long-term collaborative effort where they're all working together. And as you say, with that cohort mentality. So sharing findings, sharing approaches, that building feedback loops, not just within a project, but across projects. And finally, I think it was really important for us to demonstrate that the Innovate UK system is quite large, quite unwieldy at times. We've got a whole bunch of different bodies and agencies working within this national innovation funding ecosystem. We've got a lot of design capabilities at work, and often they're working with knowledge of each other, but not necessarily together. And we thought that we wanted to demonstrate how that coherent capability was greater than the sum of its parts. If we could bring together the expertise in the catapults, Innovate UK support for design innovation team, Business Connect, all the design agencies that we brought into this program, and actually apply that approach, apply that expertise, not just within the business projects that are funded, like something like Design Foundations, but all the way down through the top of program development, assessment, allocation, building the projects themselves. We could demonstrate how if you bring together all these capabilities at once, then it's a really, really powerful engine. And to have something that is publicly funded and acknowledges that power is something quite special and maybe more or less globally unique.
Okay. Let's go to Tim now. So Tim, you are one of the SMEs who are funded. Tell us the story of your last 3 months. You know, where were you at the beginning? Where are you now? And what has this program enabled you to do that you might not otherwise have been able to?
Yes, it's been an intense 3 months. That is
fun, right?
Very fun. Intense in all the right ways. I think I'll start backwards, and I'd say the true value is that collaboration element. Inherently, when you're dealing with such complex challenges, so many uncertainties, whether it's climate change or the value of nature, it becomes very quickly quite overwhelming to think about how do I actually do something or bring something of value to the world. And so being able to have a partner like Catapult that then brings other partners like Arup and Shift for us was crucial in being able to have such a cross-industry lens that says these are the various players involved. This is the way that each one has a respective, voice and opinion in this value chain, and this is how you could potentially be of use to them. And so that was just like a game changer for us, because individually it could just take you ages. And then in terms of the journey, it varied quite wildly. We are very early into our process. We only started at the end of last year. And so we came into the program thinking we were going to build one product, and we certainly head out to kind of begin building that, and then quickly realize that that's probably not quite the version that the world needs. And those kind of learnings are crucial, and it's ideal that you learn those as soon as possible. So the process has forced us to really, really question what is the problem. So it became this process of learning how to fall in love with the problem instead of the solution that we thought was going to be the right one. So that's kind of been the theme of our last 3 months. That's looked like a lot of different things. That's been a lot of stakeholder engagement, speaking to endless people, and then a lot of exercises of thinking, okay, well, what does the market look like? What are people already doing? What are the features that they're building? What's of value? What's saturated? So quite a range of activity, but ultimately with this kind of focus of what actually needs to be solved for.
All right, fantastic. I've got the same question for Nick and Anastasia. So both of you, what roles have you played to work with the Openstead? How have you been involved? It's quite complicated, the structure of the project. We've got 3 catapults. Each one has got a couple of design consultancies working, and then there's location partners and SMEs. So tell us, what were your role and what was the value of that?
Shall I start?
Yeah, sure.
Well, first of all, I just want to spotlight what Tim just mentioned, that throughout the process they really changed the idea that they came with and where they are now. And I just want to say it's a really testimony to design and the capacity of design to maybe test and challenge some initial assumptions. But it's all for the purpose that then your product is much more ready and welcomed to whoever the recipient is. So on this program, Arup was really privileged to be as a design partner. And in our role, we supported actually 2 SMEs. So we had Openstead, and so it's more digital focus product. And then we had also Luna Studio. And so it's more of a physical product. And we had, in the premise of this program, what we did is to guide the 2 SMEs through this process of understanding the design methodologies and applying different design methods and taking them by hand through this process, to starting with challenging the initial maybe assumptions about what your product does and where it's impactful, but then identifying potential opportunities for refinement and maybe some features or some ideas that can make your idea stronger, and then finalizing, implementing through the feasibility. So just in terms of practicalities, how the sprints generally were structured. So we were given there's a given structure. It was 3 months, 3 sprints. And we were aware of that structure and some sort of touch points. But as Arup, we really defined and set the theme for each sprint. And we quite intentionally, deliberately selected a really wide range of different design methods and tools that we kind of populated our sprints, and then invited then all the partners to, as one team together, work together on experimenting, trying these design tools, design and research methodologies, being this kind of overseer of the process and using all of our experience as a designers from Arup to sort of convey and pass on this knowledge to SMEs as well. And yeah.
Okay. I'm just curious to hear Nick's perspective as well.
Yeah, so I think I'd start by echoing what you said, Anastasia, just about the amount of sort of creative challenge in this program. And I mean that in the best possible way, creative-friendly challenge. I think some of the pivots we've seen in the businesses.
Nick, have you ever worked with designers before?
So I have, but I think without going into too much detail about what Shift does, we run innovation challenges on the Olympic Park, using the Olympic Park as a test bed. A lot of the time, we're selecting the businesses that have the highest degree of potential for impact. And in doing that somewhat inadvertently and through no blame of our own or the businesses, we sort of cement some of the assumptions made by those businesses. We say, this sounds great, let's test it, prove that it works. When in actual fact, that sort of challenge right at the start of the process has been super valuable. But I think just to answer your question, so on paper, as a location partner, what we brought to the challenge was physical assets, buildings, digital assets, like the data from those buildings, from the place. But really, I think the value add has been the ability to convene not necessarily just product owners, but problem owners as well. So we work within the London Legacy Development Corporation, which is in turn part of the GLA. So we were able to bring in people who are sitting on burning problems related to biodiversity action plans, to biodiversity net gain, to climate resilience. And hopefully, that's what's been really, really valuable in this partnership. It's being able to not necessarily just myself turn up to every possible session with the designers and Tim and try to answer every question, but to bring not just subject matter experts in, but people who are actually held accountable for increasing biodiversity and for tackling climate resilience. And I think that's probably resulted in some of these pivots we've actually seen, where we moved from, for example, landowners to insurers as the audience and the user of the product.
Yeah. I have to say that resonates with our experience and our challenge area, where our location partner Sussex Bay has really been just opening their book of contacts and organizations and kind of just sharing them out in order for each of our SMEs to kind of go and speak to as many different types of organizations as possible. And that, I think, has helped them really learn where to go. And yeah, it really surprised me, because I thought that actually it would be working very much directly with Shift or with Sussex Bay, but actually it's the much wider community and networks that has been what we've been leveraging here. And I think that's almost the kind of secret power of the program.
Yeah, and I think just to add on to that, I think I found every session that I have turned up to, at the end of it, after Tim is done speaking to whatever stakeholder we brought along, the stakeholder then says, oh, here's 3 other people that you could speak to. And I think that just sort of shows that we hit on the right problem statement to begin with. And, we've sort of iterated on that. But I think the engagement and the willingness to engage continuously is a really good sign.
And that comes back to that, us building out communities from this program and your point around feedback loops. Yeah. Okay. So I've got a few more questions around the communities. So what did you learn from the communities that you've engaged with? How has your solution evolved as a result?
I would say we learned a lot, but maybe from unexpected people. So I think there's one hand of developing a product that is trying to deliver quite technical results. You kind of need to speak to technical people, and that was very valuable to kind of refine our approach, refine the kind of the language we use in communicating what we do. But I'd say and Nick touched on it, and it was very kind of like spot on for us, being able to identify people that really hold the responsibility for whether or not climate adaptation is taken seriously or not was quite crucial. When people didn't have it in their responsibility, it just didn't happen. And so being able to kind of find the thread of where that responsibility lies was crucial for us. So in terms of finding the people within that community, it made all the difference for us. So for us, it kind of started with looking at property owners, and they're still the kind of a key stakeholder in the product that we're trying to develop. But very quickly in many of our conversations, and it was something in the back of our minds for a while, knowing that there was a link to insurers as well. But in the conversations that we were having with property owners, they made it very clear that when we try to take action on preventing climate risk, conversations with our insurers are typically where we start. Being able to think about how do we protect our property in the long term. So I think that kind of shift, looking at responsibility, who does it sit with, and how does that relationship between those different players, that was like crucial for us.
Okay. Does anybody else have anything to add on that one?
Well, just I guess our experience as a design partner working with Openstead, we were just so impressed how you embraced all the processes. And the first phase was about understanding your community, who you're designing for, like, who are those people, who are the customers, who are stakeholders, and what you just mentioned kind of behind the scenes, that what in your approach you really listen to what people were saying back to you when you hold the interviews or focus groups. And I think that's what really critical when you work with communities, wherever communities they are. It's always really acutely listening to the language, to the tone, to kind of things between the lines, and you did, and that's allowed you to realize some potentials that were not visible before.
Yeah, and I think on that topic of potential, what's been really useful for us as a location partner has been, to coin a new phrase, is understanding the sort of lift and shiftability of the learnings from this program, from us as an organization to other organizations. Okay. So I described Shift as being in the Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park, operating out of the park. In practicality, we are a mayoral development corporation. And there's going to be tons of new development corporations popping up around the country over the next couple of years in line with the house building agenda of the current government. And so what's been really exciting to see coming out of this program is the learnings for future development corporations in understanding the climate resilience of these new tracts of land that are going to be publicly owned and increasingly popping up with new biodiversity action plans and new goals for biodiversity net gain. And so it's not just been an exercise for us to understand our own problems and to sort of try and measure the impact in addressing those, but also in creating new learnings for other parts of the country.
Okay, that sounds fantastic. And going forward, I mean, this program has been a bit special. We've got 3 Catapults working together on this, each bringing our own networks and capabilities. I'm from the Satellite Applications Catapult. Here I am at the Connected Places Conference. We have DigiCatapult colleagues in the room. Yesterday there was NHU Systems closing the conference. So I love the fact that there's so many different catapults, but I wonder, does that mean anything to you? I mean, what is that benefit, or is there a benefit?
If I may respond. Well, it was really brilliant to be part of this program, and that's precisely one of the factors why is, and then again, linking it back to the community, is that we felt that having another catapults part of that, we were really part of that bigger community, and then the community of innovators, of SMEs, of other design partners, and there was a few touch points throughout the program where we all came together kind of physically in place and did some thinking and talking and networking, and it was really important as well for feeling connected part of that community and building this context and relationship with some of the, with all cohort, all the participants, and kind of keeping them in mind for future projects as well. So I think the benefit of this immense, and probably yet to see all the fruits of that in the future.
Mm.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I would add that it's quite similar to what I was saying at the beginning, but it is just quite unique to have so many people focused on one challenge. I think that alone starts to demonstrate that, hey, this is really important to look at. This is really important to try to address. And so that is a massive encouragement for everyone kind of involved. And I think hopefully more of that to come.
Okay, I hope so too. I'm going to go to the audience if there's any questions at all. There's none on the Slido. If there's any questions.
There's a hand.
Where's there a hand? Oh, hello. Yes.
Thank you. It's actually more I loved the statement about fall in love with the problem rather than the solution.
Yes.
And to hear that from a founder is so rare. I just wanted to make sure everybody heard it, because that's, for me, one of the most really powerful things that I've loved from this today. That was it. It wasn't really a question. I just wanted to thank you.
Okay. Yes, in the front. There's a microphone coming, yeah.
Yes, hello. I'm the president of the Landscape Institute, and it's fascinating to listen to your conversation. And for us, co-creation and getting communities right at the heart is really important, and connecting, as we always say in our slogan, people, place, and nature. So my question is really, how do you see things further evolving? You've already done some really big jumps in terms of innovative thing. Where do you see things sort of going next, really, apart from sharing and collaborating better? Where do you feel your research is going next? Thank you.
Should we direct that question to Tim?
Yes, I'm happy to start. Yeah, so I think for us, it was this process that we're still in terms of clarifying the problem and who that is, who the solution would potentially benefit. And the next stage for us is to be able to test that, to put it into the real world and to see how people respond. But not only in terms of saying, hey, this is great, this is valuable, we like what you're doing, but to actually then take it and to measure it, put it into their workflows and say, does this actually change what we're doing in any particular way? So for us, it's like being able to identify underused space, demonstrate the value of that space at reducing physical risk. And so when we go and test it, it's being able to say, okay, can an insurer take the data that we provide? Can they take the data that we provide and understand the potential benefit to their policyholders if they were to introduce preventative measures? So for us, the testing bit is crucial.
Yeah, I think to follow on from that as well, I think the Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park is a public sector body managing a green space. I think increasingly what we're seeing, particularly through engagement with businesses like Openstead, is that your strategy around biodiversity can't just live in a dusty old PDF saved on a laptop or a server. It has to be live, it has to live. You need to be measuring consistently and in real time based on a baseline that might have come from a strategy piece of work a few years ago. And so this program's really helped us figure out how we can do that real-time measurement and that real-time calculation of climate risk, of biodiversity. And hopefully I think it's helped get some of the people who probably work in very similar roles to yourself to sort of understand what the benefit of that is.
Okay, thanks both. I think we have time for probably one more last question. Yes.
Hi, loved hearing all about this. Thanks so much. I was just wondering, is there any place you would say is getting this really right? Because obviously you mentioned that the UK is quite a nature-starved place. Is there any other case studies worldwide or locally that you guys were really inspired by?
I think we might also throw that open to the rest of the room as well. Do you have, and does anyone have any cases?
One comes to mind just because I was reading about it the other day is, I believe it's Chengdu in China, and they have one of the best kind of green belts surrounding the city, but it wasn't necessarily just something that was designed from the beginning, which is kind of like always the ideal, start with a master plan, but it's something that they were able to develop through time. But essentially surrounding the city, you have a series of parks, and that absolutely feels like the North Star.
Okay. Does anybody else have any suggestions?
Well, I may just add, because you're focusing on flood mitigation, so potentially any places, locality that may face these issues related to water management and flooding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Harry?
Not that I know of. No.
Okay. All right. Do we have time for one more question? We do. Anybody else? Yes, Hassan.
So we're talking a lot about clusters at the conference today. My mic. Yeah. It's not hot. We're talking a lot about clusters today. Was there any cluster effect benefit from, you're part of a really big cohort. Did you learn anything from that big cohort?
I think that's an excellent question, because you could say that we have become a cluster, a distributed cluster.
Yeah.
And also, as Anastasia was saying, the midpoint, I wasn't actually at the midpoint. I was so jealous because I kept hearing the stories of everybody else talking about what everybody else was doing and what they were doing, and then they bringing that into their own projects. So you could see that effect there. But how was it for you?
Yeah, I think from our perspective, so the Olympic Park already functions essentially as an innovation district, so we've got clusters. But this was really a rallying cry around a particular topic. So our academic partners were able to get involved. UCL, for the first time, was sharing assets, people, problems that we weren't necessarily having surfaced to begin with, which was really, really great. And then, yeah, it was a great opportunity to sort of use the park as a testbed, like I've described, but around a particular topic, rather than just open innovation, which is great in itself, but if it's vaguely themed around sustainability, it's not super impactful. So being able to see 4 businesses collaborating and sharing learnings around a particular topic and sort of forming an ad hoc cluster around an existing innovation district was really powerful.
I would add just 2 quick things. One is contacts, like we've spoken about. It was like a very clear thing. Not only are we all focused on nature, so there's an inherent ability to be able to share, hey, by the way, I had a conversation with this folk. They weren't that relevant to us, but for you, they might be perfect. So that happened a lot. And then naturally, quite a few of us were geospatial based. And so then there was an opportunity to, should we all share our learning so that we're not all just developing the same thing over and over? And then the third thing, actually, was something that it seems like there's an opportunity that even between the SMEs, that some might be clients of others, which was quite fun to see.
I think that's a really nice way to finish it off, actually. So perhaps we'll wrap it up there. So thank you so much,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you.